Oh, what's up, everybody? So anyway, about to get ready for the, March for Trump. It'll be in downtown Raleigh, like between Salisbury Street and Williamson Street. Yeah, so it's like by the NC Legislative Building, and there's this section called the Halifax Mall. So it's right around there, not far from the state capitol. Yeah, at the same time, I'm also protest against Governor Roy Cooper, piece of shit. Goons, though, thought it was a good idea to, rig the election, where, you got people voting more than once. And then I'm under suspicion over in Durham County that he probably brought a lot of people from out of state to come and vote for him, which is illegal. But we'll catch him in the act one day. So anyway, we're going to give our full support to President Donald Trump, and we'll see what else goes there, so you just stay tuned. What's up, everybody on YouTube? March for Trump. So we're going to enjoy the rest of the day. Well, I found out that there's snowflakes over there on one side, like trespassing. They don't even have the right to be here, but we do. We got the permit. So we're just going to enjoy it. And then you can see my flag waving. It's a 301. That'll be it. Anyway, as you see, the snowflakes has given up. They're not even there anymore. This is about Roy Cooper,
Absolutely
governor.
Not. And so, any harm that has come to North Carolina because of House Bill 2 is due to Roy Cooper. He owns it right now. Now, I want to remind you a few things about House Bill 2. It wasn't that the legislature went out looking for a problem to solve. It's that the city of Charlotte created a problem.
Yes. They created a problem big time.
It basically would have taken the men's and women's signs off the bathroom.
Alright, the video got interrupted because of stupid storage software.
It's about protecting our freedoms as individuals and as businesses to live and work according to our beliefs. Have you heard about the florist from Washington State, Marinelle Stutzman? She is going to lose her home if the U.S. Supreme Court does not take her case up and reverse the decision of the Washington Supreme Court.
Oh, man.
Marinelle Stutzman's a 72-year-old grandmother who has owned and operated her own florist shop for years. Marinelle Stutzman declined to provide her creative services to arrange flowers for a same-sex wedding, and she was sued and bullied to the point that she may lose her home by the state of Washington.
Well, anyway, she has the right to refuse service anyway.
Prevents in North Carolina.
If those people want that, wedding stuff, they can go to another place that does it for them.
Passing ordinances that put people out of their homes and take their businesses away just because they will not compromise their freedom and their religious beliefs.
Right.
People may tend to think that they're growing tired of hearing about House Bill 2, and our legislators are tired of it. I want you to know it's something they have to deal with every day, more so than just reading it in the paper or seeing it on the nightly news like you do, because the press wants to bring it up every day, don't they?
Yes.
There's not a day that goes by that it's not in the Charlotte Observer, the News and Observer, WRAL, and all the other.
They're all talk.
This is because they want to keep hammering their narrative until it somehow becomes the truth.
I was talking about stuff that we don't care.
House Bill 2 is what the people of North Carolina want.
Yes.
They want privacy.
House Bill 2. HB2. 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 HB2.
They do not want to be coerced by the government to violate their conscience. So I urge you, do not grow weary in doing good. I'm preaching to myself because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about it too.
Right.
So we won this issue. We need to go.
I wish Pat McCory was here.
And we need to make sure that we provide the support and backing to our legislators so they can continue to stand strong on House Bill 2. I want to thank you for being here today and thank you for listening. And I hope and pray, one more thing, I do hope and pray that the Trump administration will sign this big executive order that's been prepared and waiting for weeks on religious freedom. He's already started with the repeal of their position on transgender bathrooms and their position, the Obama administration's position on Title IX. But he needs to go further, and he needs to execute this executive order on religious freedom that will protect us from being bullied and coerced and punished by the government.
Yep.
So thank you so much.
Woo!
Thank you again, Tammy. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Moving on. Our next speaker is Gadi Alleman. He was a surrogate for candidate Trump on national security and terrorism during the campaign. He was born in the U.S., moved to Israel at an early age. A month after his 14th birthday, he survived a terrorist bombing in Jerusalem.
I'm thinking that girl there looks like a snowflake because they usually wear the stocking caps and the plaid scarves and weird colored kind of coat. I'm thinking that woman might be too. So I think they're the media that's working undercover. Yeah, because they're starting some kind of ruckus just because of my flag. So it's going to be this is going to be a low profile.
America, we don't have terrorism. You can wait 10 years and remember the word jihad.
Jihad.
After 9/11, many of those who called him crazy wanted his advice. Now, after 41 years of self-study, Gadi has taught and lectured at various high schools, colleges, and law enforcement agencies. He continues to lecture and speak publicly on terrorism, jihad, Sharia, and Islam. He has been a guest on Sean Hannity shows, quoted by Michelle Malkin. Dr. Philip Wares, Wally Fairs, President Trump.
The Muslim snipers, Lee Boyd Malvo and John Allen Muhammad, that shot and killed a total of 22 people between February and October 2002. Muhammad Reza Tahrir Azar, who ran down 9 people right over here at UNC Chapel Hill in March 2006.
Holy shit.
November 2009, we had Nidal Hassan, who murdered 14 and wounded 30 at Fort Hood. And yes, it was 14, not 13, because one soldier, Juanita Warman, was pregnant.
Ooh.
April 2013, the Tsarnaev brothers murdered 4 people and injured 264 in
Boston Marathon.
September 2014, Alton Nolan beheaded his fellow co-worker Colleen Hufford, while another employee, Tracy Johnson, was stabbed and critically injured at Vaughn Foods in Oklahoma. May 2015, we had the Garland, Texas Draw Muhammad event. July 2015, Muhammad Yusuf Abdulaziz murdered 4 U.S. Marines in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
December 2015, Saeed Rizwan Farouk and Tashfeen Malik murdered
San Bernardino
people and seriously injured 22 others in San Bernardino, California.
St. Bernard.
June 2016, Omar Mateen murdered 49 people and wounded 53 others at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. September 2016, Ahmed Khan Rahami set off the New York and New Jersey bombings, wounding 31. And yes, this year, January 2017, Esteban Santiago Ruiz murdered 5 and wounded 6 in the Fort Lauderdale airport. Now, did you forget about some of these?
No.
Have we become that complacent, or have these attacks just become commonplace?
Right.
ISIS still controls around 24,000 square miles. Besides Syria and Iraq, nations where it has official branches include Algeria, Nigeria, Libya, the Sinai Peninsula,
Uganda,
Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the Caucasus area to the south of Russia. They have aspiring branches in Mali, Egypt, Somalia, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Currently, our own FBI is investigating over 1,000 ISIS investigations in all 50 states. But one of the biggest problems came from within our own government. The previous administration and the White House in 2009 urged Washington to stop using the terms jihadist or Muslim or Islam, asserting that terrorists are simply extremists.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, crazy.
2 years later, the White House ordered a cleansing of training materials that Islamic groups deemed offensive.
Oh, brother.
All of our
like what happened on Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg.
Everything we learned since 9/11 was purged and shredded. This purge extended far beyond the FBI and included all other government agencies, including the U.S. Attorney's Anti-Terrorism Advisory Councils, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and and the U.S. Army, just to name a few. Tell me about it. Yep. Numerous experts on terrorism, like myself, and I had been invited to speak at the FBI Joint Terror Task Force, were banned from speaking to any U.S. government counterterrorism conferences.
Oh,
Instead, these agencies were ordered to invite Muslim Brotherhood front groups.
What?
You see, those that attacked us are now the victims.
Victims, eh?
Anyone else who speaks out about Islam or terrorism is an Islamophobe.
Oh, yeah.
The Southern Poverty Law Center's hate list.
Islamophobe is not even a real word because what it really means is that, you know, it's just the fascists who control the morons, which are the liberals.
I guess I'm doing something right.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. I got from the southernsuperstore.com. It was like a free offer they had on Facebook.
We do demand to see Connor's ID. There's no way he's a junior in high school.
Oh, man.
All right, our next speaker is going to fire you up even more. Representing Duplin, Wayne County, he's in his 4th term for House District 4. He's been supporting North Carolina farmers and agriculture for decades. He's a Wake Forest graduate from Warsaw, grandfather of 6. Please welcome Representative Jimmy Dixon.
Jimmy Dixon.
Thank you. My goodness. What a pleasure it is to be with such a wonderful group of deplorables.
Woo! Morals unite!
You look about as deplorable as anybody I've seen.
Right.
We're so deplorable that we actually love our children.
Yes, sir.
We're so deplorable that we actually think men and women ought to work for a living.
Right.
We're so deplorable, but we actually stand when the national anthem is played.
Right.
We're so deplorable that we actually mean the pledge that we say to that flag. Ladies and gentlemen, let me review one of the most important questions that's been asked in a while. It was asked by Hillary Clinton.
Oh.
When she said, at this point, what difference does it make talking about wonderful heroes who gave their life for this country?
Right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have given her the answer to that question.
They were Americans.
The difference that it made was that it made millions upon millions of red-blooded, patriotic Americans get out and vote for Donald J. Trump as the President of the United States of America.
Woo!
That's the difference that it made.
Right.
We believe that our rights come from God, not from government.
Right.
Someone mentioned nonprofit a while ago. I may be representing a nonprofit. I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
Now, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be thankful for our great farmers across this nation.
Right. But no farms, no food. Okay?
As a matter of fact, the most important energy that we produce in this nation, and I hope we can realize it sooner than later, the greatest energy we produce is called food.
Food.
And it does not come from the grocery store.
Oh.
It comes from hard-working farmers across this nation.
Sure.
So I would encourage us to thank the Lord every day for the abundant supply of food that we have.
Amen.
I'm in my 4th term in the General Assembly representing Duplin and Wayne County. I'm honored to serve as the chairman of the Agriculture Committee, the chairman of the Ag Appropriation Committee, and the chair of the Environmental Review Commission. I came to the General Assembly as part of the 2010 wave where we achieved the majority in the House and the Senate for the first time. I want to report to you today, ladies and gentlemen, that there are many wonderful men and women serving in the North Carolina General Assembly who are here through a significant degree of divine intervention.
Yep.
This is the cardboard speech. so it's short. I was fortunate enough to attend 7 of Trump rallies. I emceed 3 of them. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a changed man, changed for the good. I watched him as he matured through this campaign. I've watched him as he gave that magnificent speech the other night. I want to remind us of another changed man a few millennia ago. Do you remember the hard-hearted Saul who was on the way to Damascus to persecute and kill some more Christians? Do you remember what happened? The hard heart of Saul was changed into the soft, prophetic, dedicated heart of Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, I testify to you that I believe with all my heart that Donald J. Trump has the possibility to do for freedom and liberty what the Apostle Paul did for Christianity.
Yes. Amen, sir.
We're involved today in a fight for good and evil. Make no mistake about it. There are only 2 opposing forces.
Oh, no. I pointed to your
I'm going to conclude with this story where we are failing, ladies and gentlemen, not this group, but across America we are failing. And I'm going to use a quick story that about my grandmother. I'm a farmer. We had 3 kinds of corn. She supervised the putting of that corn in the barn for storage. The first type of corn we had was the corn that we fed the livestock. The second kind of corn was the corn that we took to mill on Saturday to get some money to buy store-bought groceries to supplement what we produced on the farm. The third kind of corn was the seed corn for the following year. Granny's instructions were clear. If the barn catches on fire, get the seed corn out first. Ladies and gentlemen, America had better wake up and realize that as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. Donald J. Trump is a breath of fresh air that can preserve freedom and liberty for the future generations of our children. God bless us that we all may accomplish that. Thank you.
Woo! And that was Jimmy Dixon, ladies and gentlemen.
One more time, thank you, Representative Jimmy Dixon, everybody. All right. Those of you who were here 3 hours ago when we started may remember our next speaker. He gave the pledge for us, Lieutenant Colonel Ken Benway. He enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1966 as a parachute infantryman. He's an honor graduate of AI school at Fort Benning, where I was born. Fort Benning, go. He completed parachute qualification training and was selected to attend the Special Forces qualification course, graduating in 67 and then deploying to the Republic of Vietnam. He served as a weapons specialist and team medic of a combined American, Australian, and Chinese Nung 11th Company, 1st Corps Mobile Strike Force of the 5th Special Forces Group, Airborne. On returning to the U.S., he was promoted to the rank of Staff Sergeant, attended the Infantry Officer Campaign School at Fort Benning, commissioned Second Lieutenant in 1970, deployed to Europe, serving both Germany and Italy with the 509 Parachute Infantry Battalion Combat Team until 75. He served leadership position of the 5th and 10th Special Forces Groups, the Special Operations Command Europe, the U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center in School. He served a 2-year exchange program assignment with the Sousa Alpine Infantry Battalion, 4th Alpine Corps of the Italian Army in Northwest Italy. He is a graduate of the Infantry Officer Advanced Course, the Defense Language Institute, University of Georgia, Columbus, and the U.S. Army Command for General Staff College. Retired in 93 with 27 years of service. He's co-founder of the Special Operations Speaks and Vets in the Fight, both organizations devoted to protecting our Constitution and promoting veteran service in public office. Lieutenant Colonel Benway resides in Whispering Pines, North Carolina, with his wife, Mary Ann. They have 10 grandchildren. Please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Ken Benway.
Afternoon, sir.
When we first got here, myself and Gotti Edelman came up to the podium just to make sure we could actually see over it and use it. And I said, Gotti, don't worry about it. Small targets live longer, so we'll just put up with that sort of thing.
All right.
I can't thank the organizers enough who invited me here to speak today. I thank you for inviting me to this celebration marking the restoration of duty, honor, and country as our guiding principles. Principles being rekindled in our national defense establishment by our new president, Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States.
Woo!
Today I have the honor of representing Special Operations Speaks, a veteran organization founded by three of us. Colonel Dick Brower, U.S. Air Force Air Commando, retired. Captain Larry Bailey, U.S. Navy SEAL, retired. And myself, back in May 2012. That was in response to the Obama administration leaking of highly classified information about Special Operations tactics, techniques, and procedures employed by U.S. Special Operations forces in the raid that killed bin Laden. We started up with about 50 followers back in May 2012. Last week we had about 350,000 vets, their families, and other supporters check in on us on social media. So we've come a long way. Those are all vets, what we call vets in the fight. And we'll talk about vets in the fight just a little bit later. Let me see a show of hands of veterans in the crowd today. Great. Thank you for your service, all of you.
Thank you for your service.
I'm going to ask your indulgence so as to put us all in the right frame of mind. Will you join me, you veterans, in reciting our oaths of military service? If so, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States.
Obey the orders of the United States.
And the orders of the officers appointed over me. According to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.
So help me God.
Airborne.
Woo!
Thank you all again for your honorable service and for reaffirming this lifelong contract with our republic. We are all going to need to keep those words fresh in mind in the months and years to come. We should also teach them to our children and grandchildren before it's too late. This March for Trump and many similar gatherings across this blessed country today celebrate and underwrite an absolutely unique and historic restoration of American national leadership after 8 very long years of wandering in a secular state wilderness, nurturing an increasingly Marxist and jihadist Washington establishment, one that had every prospect of successfully reshaping our American military until saved by Donald J. Trump.
Woo!
History will count Mr. Trump as an American Charles Martel, hero of the Battle of Tours, who rides roughshod over the enemy and overcomes the existential threats of neo-Marxism and jihadism, the premier totalitarian forces in this world today. Neo-Marxism and jihadism have attained great influence in the Oval Office in these past 8 years. Each of those ideologies also dominate many of our grade schools, high schools, and universities today. Those are the choke points, those schools, if you will, through which all of our children must pass. In doing so, they are subject daily to indoctrination, disinformation, and misinformation. No less effective than similar information operations, campaigns of the old Soviet Union. The deep state is a new term to Americans. It refers to those government institutions infiltrated in depth by the new ideologies. That includes the Beltway deep state defense establishments that have been compromised to such a degree that they are engaging in what amounts to civil war, a civil war against the Trump administration and against you and me who voted Mr. Trump into office by a landslide electoral win.
Yes. We're winning.
Just how long that civil war remains non-lethal is dependent on two things.
Especially if
It will
one
depend on
side is
how
unarmed
effectively
and our
Donald J.
side is
Trump
armed.
can successfully inform the American people and the movement he began, one postured to defend our republic, and how well he can educate them to the threat presented by former President Barack Hussein Obama, by his Marxist benefactors like George Soros, and joined by a coalition of anarchists and jihadists assembling as we speak to nullify the election of our president. It was we the people, in spite of the best efforts of Capitol Hill Democrat and Republican elites, who chose Donald Trump to lead our way back to a national state as a constitutional republic. A civil war is being conducted by Obama's Organizing for Action. I believe some of the folks we had earlier were part of that. If you want to check them out, go to ofa.us on the internet and see what they're planning. They're pretty open about it. Organization for Action in a coalition of dozens of left-wing grassroots organizations, many left over from the old Acorn organization, and being targeted against our elected officials at town hall meetings across the land. Very recently in Charlotte, they shut down the council meeting. OFA has openly distributed email instructions on how to shut down civil discourse. They understand that the truth is their greatest obstacle. The principal objective of Obama, Soros, and company is to shut down meaningful communications among we citizens and to nullify the First Amendment. Today, well-funded and led by professional anarchists, OFA is executing their concept of operations in our town halls, in the fake news, and on our fake university campuses. Now what does that have to do with veterans? Of all groups in the United States, the military and its veterans enjoy a special bond, a special trust and confidence of the American people. Veterans can become a valuable source of local, state, and national leadership renewal. A brief story. Special Operations Speaks was invited to join the Accuracy in Media Citizens Commission on Benghazi in summer of 2013 to pursue the real stories behind the Obama administration's story of Benghazi. Excuse me while I grab some water.
All right. Yeah, which reminds me, I need some water too.
Thank you. In September 2013, we assembled at the Heritage Foundation in Washington for a one-day seminar on Benghazi and open to the public. Hosted by Accuracy in Media, the newly formed commission included Mr. Charles Wood, father of Tyrone Wood, retired SEAL killed at Benghazi, Admiral James Ace Lyons, Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, Major General Paul Vanelli, Claire Lopez, an expert on jihad, and a dozen other subject matter experts. In the middle of the afternoon session, an attendee raised his hand and stood up and asked a key question. He said, "I'm Mike. I'm an American veteran. I've listened to the Benghazi horror story today and have to ask, what can I do? What can Mike, a veteran, do?" He further said, "My son is a weapons technician sitting in the back of an American attack submarine somewhere at sea today. All my family served honorably. We pay our taxes. We are law-abiding people. What more can I do?" Mike's frustration was palpable. The question hit home. It was a simple question, but with no easy answer. It occurred to us at that point that we'd heard the question from many veterans, but never that succinctly. Since that moment in 2013, we've nicknamed Mike, a software engineer from Maryland, Mike the American. Roger Aronoff, editor of Accuracy in Media, was kind enough to develop a brief video for us, capturing Mike the American's question, a video we often use to introduce the concept that his question spawned. We came home from the Heritage Foundation event determined to answer Mike's question. For if we answered Mike, we will have answered so many other veterans. A bit of analysis turned Mike's frustration into a more specific problem statement that went something like, problem statement. Most veterans do not have a voice in government. From there, our task was to work out what having a voice really meant. We settled on a term that captured what veterans like Mike were searching for: a group of like-minded men and women bonded together by honorable service and who still live by their military oaths, the one we just repeated today, and who still feel a responsibility to their nation. In 2014, SOS developed a two-part concept called Vets in the Fight. In the first part, vets in the fight are us, specifically men and women who have served honorably in the U.S. military. You are the vets in the fight by your presence here today. Increasingly, we are a shrinking force. As a comparison, during World War II, 9% of the U.S. population found itself in uniform. In 2017, a mere 0.58% of the U.S. population is in uniform, and that includes both active and reserve components of the U.S. Armed Forces. Never have so few defended so many so well.
Yeah. Woo!
The second part of Vets in the Fight has to do with giving Mike and us the voice in government that is lacking. Had we a voice in government, we'd have resolved the sorry state of the Veterans Administration long ago. In fact, I'm beginning to believe that the VA is too valuable as a political football for either party to seriously address. It's going to be up to us to fix that. The Trump movement provides the most military and veteran-friendly environment perhaps in our lifetimes. Making America great again includes the continuing and substantive contributions of veterans to a respectful and grateful nation. Giving veterans in the fight a voice requires that we put three capabilities into action. Capability number one, vets must vote. Veterans represent a voting bloc large enough to be a kingmaker or a king breaker. Politicians know it and they fear it, but not too much lately. Consider that in the 2012 presidential election, out of roughly 22 million living veterans, 27%, or 6 million vets, never went to the polls.
Wow.
In North Carolina, that amounted to approximately 209,000 vets who stayed home and did not vote.
Holy cow.
They sat out what up to that point was the most important election since the Great Depression.
That's how we got Cooper Scoop.
That veteran failure to vote gave another 4 years to the opponents of the Republic, as well as to some masquerading as friends of the Republic.
I call him Boy Pooper.
In the 2016 presidential election, we improved the veteran voting percentage enough to make a difference in winning swing states like Florida, where 1.58 million veterans live, and where they voted in favor of Donald Trump by a 2-to-1 margin, thankfully.
Woo!
Special Operations Speaks went on the air via internet radio and made a number of appearances at Veterans for Trump rallies, to include at the Villages in the I-4 corridor in Central Florida. We initiated veteran voter registration drives, urging all the major veteran organizations, and this is really key, urging all the major veteran organizations to make voluntary voter registration a standard part of their welcome packets to new and renewing members. That will go a long way over time for help to fix this problem. We will continue with this approach, enlisting other major veteran organizations to adopt similar programs of their own. Capability number two, and there will be a quiz after this, by the way. Capability number two, veterans must serve in public office. A survey of municipal, state, and national governing bodies shows that few veterans are serving. In 1971, 74% of U.S. congressmen had served in uniform. Today, veterans in the fight, like Senator Rabin, who spoke earlier today, Senator Tom Cotton, and U.S. Representatives Duncan Hunter and Rob Maness, stand out amongst their peers, giving their constituencies a full court press on all key issues. SOS is focusing on encouraging and supporting first-term candidates for legislative office in the U.S. Congress. Most recently, we endorsed, publicized, and donated to the campaign of first-term candidate Staff Sergeant Brian Mast of Florida's 18th District.
Woo!
A Ranger and former Army Explosive Ordnance Disposal Specialist, he lost both legs in Afghanistan.
Oh, man.
Brian, hard-charging in everything he does, to include 10K races on his prosthetic legs.
Wow.
Won his contest against a long-time incumbent. So new guys, fresh blood, fresh ideas can do it. They can make it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brian is seated with the 114th Congress today, along with another Army vet and first-termer, Sheriff Clay Higgins of Louisiana's 3rd District. A former Army military policeman, Congressman Higgins is our second successful endorsement for 2016. A moral victory was Major Chris Dosev's outcome in Florida's 1st District. As a former Marine pilot, he ran against stiff opposition. We are betting we'll see Chris come back in November 2018, and we'll be there to encourage and promote his efforts. By the way, just as a parenthetical side issue, not one of us gets paid a nickel for what we do, okay?
Oh,
not
sure.
for the last 5 years.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, sir.
bringing military veteran talent to the legislative process is always a win for America. They bring to the legislative body the discipline and due diligence inherent in the military decision-making and problem-solving processes. We will continue to survey, encourage, and resource more first-term veteran candidates. Capability number 3, and I'll be finished quickly here. Capability number 3, veterans must hold legislators accountable. So those 2 gents we just sent to Congress, we're going to track them, we're going to rate them, and we're going to let everybody know what we feel about their performance. At capability 2, we offer the candidate the carrot. At capability 3, we apply the stick. Once a first-term candidate is in office, vets in the fight will monitor and assess the strengths and shortcomings of their performance on key issues of importance to national security and to veteran well-being. We've studied and participated in the Heritage Action Sentinel program. Many of you are probably members of that. Excellent. Which offers a workable approach and technically feasible blueprint for adaptation for achieving the accountability so key to giving vets in the fight a full voice, one that resonates, is recognized, and respected throughout the legislative function of government. Come visit us on Facebook at Special Operations Speaks.
If my
And
band
at
is
Twitter
lifted, I
at
could go
Spec
on.
Ops Speaks. Our SOS Vets in the Fight website is under construction under the guidance of the good Mr. Dave Carter over here. And we'll hopefully be back online and reconstructed at the end of the month. I hope we can work with other veterans groups here in North Carolina as well as across the country to reinforce the Trump movement. Before I leave the podium, I'd like to call Mr. Terry Moore forward. Terry, come on up here. Where are you? Come here.
Terry
I'd like
Moore,
to
ladies and
present
gentlemen.
Mr. Moore with a Special Operations Speaks specially struck coin that we struck in 2013 to commemorate the 2 former U.S. Navy SEALs, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty, both men lost in defense of the CIA facility at Benghazi on 9/12/2012.
December 12th.
Having run a few of these events, I know what goes on behind the scenes. The blood, sweat, and tears that nobody ever sees, but it has to be shed.
Let's don't forget Scott.
Well, we will get Scott. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow vets in the fight, thank you for being here today and for giving your attention. Thank you very much.
Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great event, that we show our support to President Donald Trump. And our, our views against Governor Roy Cooper, because he's trying to take away, the freedom of education, your choice of education. Like, let's say, you came from a great family, well-educated, and very religious. So, if you guys have children of your own, would you put your children in a public school system? Like, a public school, like, maybe closer to your house, but run by bureaucrats that discipline people for being patriotic, that won't even have the pledges of allegiance, and try to ban religion at the same time? No, I don't think you want to put your kids in schools like that. If I have children of my own one day, if I get married, I wouldn't want them in a public school either. Like, I came from one, I seen how it was. It was kind of rough, but it's not as bad as it was last 8 years. But there's some weirdos out there, even the teachers. So, it's better just to put them like a private school, charter school, if you homeschool them, or they can take online classes at home, whatever you gotta do. The public school system is just corrupt. Yeah, we even got, students getting suspended for just using profanity. Especially if they're talking against somebody who's, they have trouble with. It happened to me once, and I just got pissed off thinking about that. Anyway, it's been a long day, so I'm gonna get something to eat. Though, it was great seeing the guy who put together the Raleigh that I know from Airsport Sports Bar. Yeah, so he's also come back there, sometimes. We'll probably bump into each other sometime, when I go there. So, I already thanked him, for the event. So, we're good at that. And we have all kinds of people, over there. The snowflakes, though, like, on the other hand, earlier, well, they're outnumbered, and then they gave up, so, we won our turf war. Yeah, it kind of looks like a civil war again with, the strong, brave conservatives versus the pussy, sissy, snowflake-type liberals. Mostly younger kids, like either teenagers or so-called college-age adults from 18 to 25. Maybe, let's say 18 to 23 or something, like around that age group. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. Like, most of the people that age group vote for Hillary, so that's why she lost, because there's not enough people like in her generation and the generation before mine. So yeah, there's barely any votes, from the baby boomer generation and the Generation X. And there's like some on the Generation Y, which they call millennials. I don't understand why they call them that if they're born between 1980 to 1996 or something like that. Yeah, let's just say that we're lucky enough to see the millennium to move on to the 21st century. We're very lucky to see that. Some from baby boomer generation wasn't able to see it, some were. But it is kind of a weird name anyway. And I don't know what's the next. There's another Generation Z or something like that. Some I don't know the name of the generation. I got some younger cousins in that generation. They're not idiots. So anyway, I'm about to be done. I'm just about to leave out my parking spot. I'm about to get something to eat and I'll be on my way home. Probably, hanging with my friends and my girlfriend all weekend. And the rest will be history. Later.